are we on the record mode?
Okay. Yes, I have started the recording. Yes.
Okay, better late than never. Thank you, Bestie. Thank you so much. I now invite our member, Sir Emerald Sequeira, to introduce our honorable speaker. Over to Sir Emerald. Sir, you have to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can
Good
hear you.
evening. I'm Emerald, and I drive a small real estate business called Rebecca Ventures. Today, I have been given the responsibility of introducing our speaker, Dr. Harold Dcosta. But it is not very easy to ask him. That to sum it up is going to be difficult. Nevertheless, let me try and sum it up for all of you. Dr. Harold Dcosta is the president of Cyber Security Corporation. He is also the CEO of another company called Intelligent Quotient Security System. They are based out of Pune. His companies are counted in the top 10 cyber security companies in our country. Okay. That includes cyber forensic and digital evidence. He's worked on more than 4,500 cases of cyber crime across 7 countries. And that's a global spread. He's trained more than 35,000 law enforcement officers, mind you, from police inspectors to commissioners, including across the length and breadth of our country. He's trained 4,000 judicial officers in various facets of cyber forensic, cyber law, digital evidence, etc. The most notable factor is that he has trained High Court and Supreme Court judges in some of the neighboring countries as well. He's trained many ministries, home ministries, sales tax, public prosecutors. We have pharmacies, education department, professors from engineering, etc., hotel management and social sciences. Not only this is the this is the training part of it. Now, to working on cyber cases, he worked on cyber cases related to large government enterprise, Bollywood, multinational companies, telecom, media, gas subsidies, banking frauds, Catholic Bank signed in. Maybe they should take note. Software piracy, character assassination is something very notable here. He's featured in training senior officers from Reserve Bank of India and about banks on cyber security, compliance, audit, and investigation. He's on universities and police academies to develop curriculum and courseware on cybercrime and digital forensic. Associated with National Judicial Academy, Maharashtra Police, Goa Police, again, length of our company. He was a resource person in 19 international conferences, Global Cyber Security Summit in India. He's co-authored 15 books in cyber security and space, developed cyber compliance practices to eliminate data pilferage and maximizing profits. In addition to all this, his companies also conduct various courses, be it advanced, intermediary, and basic. You may visit his website for more information. Frankly, we at BCBA lucky to have had such a senior and learned speaker. Dr. Dcosta, thank you so much for voluntarily conducting this seminar for us. I now pass on the baton to Dr. Dcosta to take us through cyber security and all the related topics. Thank you.
Dr. Harold Dcosta, we are honored to have you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's my privilege also that I'm with you all at this moment. In fact, talking about the cyber crimes, that is a risk in the small and medium business enterprise. In fact, there was a long introduction. It could have been curtailed, but then anyhow, we will go across with some of the important facets as what cybercrime will have a negative effect into the business going ahead and how we can overcome it. I'm sure all of you are hearty and healthy at this moment at your respective place, and I hope that you will be at your place, at your respective place, not for a long time. I think it's just a matter of 3 to 4 days. Some good news will come with the lockdown being taken out partially. And once again, we shall be back into our business. But of course, all said and done, this pandemic of coronavirus may take a little longer time for us to be that free bird what we used to be there 2 months before. Anyway, we have a tremendous faith in God, and I'm sure that God will create a way for us, such as we will be back into our business, back into our work, so on and so forth. My presentation today, I shall be focusing more on the live case studies, because my practice is on live investigation, live evidence collection. And so I shall be talking about the live practices, basically trying to help you out that post this coronavirus era, how this cybercrime which has taken place, which are taking place, how to minimize the effect of it and ensure that we are risk-free to a large extent. But before that, I have some certain few questions. Of course, I'll be putting those questions and answering myself, because I know that what the questions I'll be putting out, all those answers will be in yes only. I'm sure all of you have a mobile phone, and why not? We have almost about 110 crore SIM cards in the Indian market, and used by almost about 95 crore unique Indians. We are the second largest user of mobile phone in the world, but not knowing that almost about 40 to 45% of the cybercrime today takes place with the help of the mobile phone. So therefore, we should be very cautious in our approach of using a mobile phone. And why it is so, I'll be telling as we go ahead into our session. My second question, I'm sure all of you would be there on WhatsApp, and why not? We almost have 44 crore Indians today using WhatsApp. We are the largest user of WhatsApp in the world. Notwithstanding the fact that most of them, almost about 99% of the users, Indian users who are using WhatsApp, are not aware that they could become a victim of social media or a social networking crime. I'm sure that most of you, if not all, are there on Facebook. And why not? We almost got about 30 to 31 crore Indians today on Facebook. Once again, the biggest problem, the biggest menace of the social networking sites, whether it is a Facebook or whether it is a WhatsApp or whether it is an Instagram, is the use of it. We use these social networking apps, these social networking sites, as if they are made for us. But let me tell you, most of the social networking apps, the social networking sites, they are used to collect our data, collect our information, breach our privacy, and therefore the money is being generated on the cyberspace in the name of ourselves. Well, most of us, we Indians, use a lot of apps. They are freely downloaded apps, and we use these apps thinking that these apps are there for our positive use. But almost all the apps, almost I'm talking, if not each and every one, but almost all the apps today, they are being free of cost. They are used in terms of the surveillance. And therefore, while we are downloading an app from any of the Play Store, we should be extremely cautious that downloading an app which is free doesn't mean that our privacy is there in the common place. Our information, our data, our photographs, our videos, our images, if they go into an unauthorized people, it can create a lot of negative impact on our professional as well as on our personal life. Well, there is a mentality of us, we Indians as a whole, that anything we see free on the internet, we download it first. But let me tell you, anything which is free on the internet is conditions apply. When it is free of cost, we become the product, and our information is been then sold in the dark space, in the darker side of the internet, and money is being made out. I'm sure that almost all of you over here are having an email ID, and why not? We almost have about 37 crore Indians today having an email ID, but not knowing the fact that just by having an email ID, having a strong password for an email ID doesn't mean that an email cannot be generated from that email ID to any third person in this universe. Therefore, having proper protection for our email ID, having a password to be changed for our email ID every week, having a password which is a combination of characters, numbers, special symbols, so on and so forth, doesn't mean that we cannot become a victim of email crimes, or to that matter, email fraud crime. All these issues are there. And still, we have about 65 crore Indians today using internet. We are the second largest user of internet in the world, closely following the footsteps of China, which is almost about 73 crore Chinese today use internet. Vis-a-vis, we have 65 crore Indians today using internet. Notwithstanding the fact, sometime before I just told you all that we have a potential of almost 99% of the users of internet to become a victim of cybercrime. We see out in the coronavirus era, we find that the recovery rate is almost about 33 to 34%. But the recovery rate of cybercrime is in few single dots. And therefore, it's very important to understand what this cybercrime is, what nuances it can create, and how to come out of this deadly crime, that's cybercrime. In fact, it's very important for us to know what cybercrime is all about. Well, whenever technology is been misused to do any unlawful activity, that term or that unlawful activity is called as cybercrime. We are in the top 5 nations of the world as far as the cybercrime is concerned. And these are some of the cyber security incidents breach, which I'm just showing it to you on the screen. In the year 2015, we had almost about 50,000 cybersecurity breaches. And by the end of 2019, in fact, this is not the end of 2019, this statistics is up to October 2019, we almost have 3,14,000 cybersecurity breaches. Let me tell you, these are only reported cybersecurity breaches. These may be only 8 to 10% of the actual cybersecurity breaches which are taking place. So if you add 10 times to this, I'm sure that you will get a figure more dangerous than the patients who are there with coronavirus at this moment. The problem which has happened in people being unaware of this cybercrime is because the lack of the rules, lack of regulations, the lack of the privacy policy which people are not aware, and therefore cybercrimes are taking place on a larger magnitude. Well, if you look at the cybercrime cases over a decade in India, well, I have the statistics up to 2017. These are the statistics as specified by the NCRB, the National Crime Record Bureau. And through the National Crime Record Bureau till 2017, there were almost about 21,800 cyber crimes which were been registered in India, as compared to 480 cyber crimes approximately which were registered in 2007. If you see this figure is very alarming. Once again, these are only cyber crime cases which are reported, which are registered all over India, which once again anywhere between 5 to 7% of the total cyber crimes which are taking place. So if you add 20 times to this figure, I'm sure that we will come to a figure where we will understand that we are staying in an era where crimes are taking place, but we are not able actually to figure out where exactly the drawbacks or the nuances or the risks are taking place. I've seen in my 14 years of professional experience in this field, till the time we don't become a victim, we feel that everything is okay. I believe with a certain principle that when we find an example of a person getting to be victimized, maybe a bank fraud taking place, or maybe a social networking fraud taking place by the misuse of technology, I believe that example should serve for us and let us not be an example for others to quote that how we were victimized, so on and so forth. In the last 6 months or so, I had about 3 to 4 cases coming to me from Vasai. In fact, I work in Pan India. So 3 to 4 cases I got in Vasai. Just, I think about a couple of months before, there was a person who called me from Vasai. He got my number from some certain source. and he called up and he said that there is a software piracy raid at his place. And he was saying that how to ensure, because I'm using a certain software, but I'm not using these many licenses as what the agency is telling me or accusing me. In these circumstances, how can I come out of it? This is one small part of it. I had received one more case from Vasai where there was a fake and a fictitious profile of a woman which was made on Facebook, and because of which she was getting some calls which were obscene. And the net result was that when I did the analysis of that case, well, the person is sitting 7 seas away, difficult to get the jurisdiction, easy to catch the digital footprints, but it's difficult for the person to be prosecuted because we have legal issues. The jurisdiction comes into the problem where whether we can get that person deposed to India and have the trial to take place, so on and so forth. So the statistics are very alarming, and I'm sure that this pandemic of coronavirus in the last 2 months, where we are almost locked down, there are almost about 4 lakh threats which took place all over the world. In the last 2 months almost, I had about 86 cases coming to me. And most of these cases coming to me, they were the cases related to financial fraud. They were related to business assassination. When I say business assassination, means harnessing the whole particular organization's business in terms of assassinating the organization's business values, so on and so forth. I will be sharing some of them as I go ahead in my presentation. Well, the increased use of internet. Between 2012 and 2016, more than 32,000 cybercrime were reported across the country. More than 24,000 of these cases are registered under the IT Act. I am sure when you are running a business, today your business is digital, and in the days to come, it will be completely digital. We don't have any other option. All your banking transactions has to be digital. All your communications has to be digital. In fact, the courts also are going digital. Your income tax returns, the notices are to be sent to the business associates, to the business organization. They will be all digital. The appeal will be digital. Everything will be under digital domain. Therefore, under these scenarios, the usage of internet will go on increasing exponentially higher. And these offenses, they are registered under the IT Act 2000, which is a special act. It's a special act superseding IPC or the other state or the central level legislations are being concerned. The IT Act, that is the Information Technology Act 2000, was originated in our country in the year 2000 in the month of October. For the last, say, about 19.5 years, a little slightly more, we have the IT Act in place. But let me tell you, the conviction rate of cybercrime is too less. Many people who have been victimized, they remain as victimized. They are not able to get their money back, or they are not able to get the hard-earned money which they have lost in financial transactions, so on and so forth. I was investigating a case in Vasai only of a chemical company. This company lost almost about 96 lakhs of rupees. And the modus operandi of was an email. And this also happened now during this coronavirus pandemic era. Many people are being victimized by email related crimes. The case of Vasai, I would like to share with you because you come from that place. So when I talk to you about the cases which is near to your place, you will understand that cybercrime has also come in your area. It's not only the coronavirus has started coming into our nearby area, but the cybercrime has already started to come. It's already there. People have lost their money and they have not got it back simply because the investigations did not allow, because of rules, regulations, so on and so forth. Now this, a very medium scale, I would say, a chemical manufacturing company has its office in Vasai. They used to deal with their vendors across the different continents of the world. And so they had some certain vendors in Nigeria where they used to get some certain raw material of certain chemical. I'm not a chemical engineer, but then they used to buy some certain material from Nigeria, raw material. And they have been doing it for the past 5 to 6 years. The material once dispatched to India, the payments were made online through a bank account, which was given by the vendor's accountant, so on and so forth. All was going extremely well for the last 4 to 5 years. Till the last 2 years, I believe somewhere in 2017 end, this case came to me. It came to me from the Vasai police itself. And the case was like this, that one fine day, this chemical, the business person who is into the chemical business, he received an email one day from its vendor's accountant email ID stating that this time the payment what you are going to make into my account, that account has been changed. We have some certain audit going on at our place, and because of this time the payment what you are going to make, please make the payment into so and so account. Now this unit in Vasai, it never knew that this was a spoofed mail. I would use the word spoofed mail because technically it is the most right word. Spoofed means email is originating from the authentic person's email ID, but it is never sent by him. Point number 2, and which we have to all remember, is that the moment you give your email ID, even if you don't give your password, an email still can be originated from your email ID without knowing the password. Such type of emails are called as spoofed mails. And so under this scenario, he got an email. He quickly responded to that email, not by replying it. He quickly told his particular finance guy that transfer so and so money, which was worth almost 96 lakhs rupees. He said, transfer this money into the account of this vendor, but not to that original account where we used to do it before, because this time the account is different because some audit is going on for that bank account. And so the money was transferred. 2 days later, the vendor got in touch with this businessman in Vasai saying him, sir, you have not paid this time's outstanding payment. He said, what are you talking about? I made the payment to you. He said, I have not received it. So he showed him all the transaction slip, all the digital transaction slip, what he had. He sent across to him via an attachment on email. The vendor said, you have done the payment into an account which is not belonging to me. Now this was a shock to this person. He said that I received a mail from you. He said that you might have received a mail, but it is never sent by me. What I mean to say is that 96 lakh rupees went, but we were able, that's what the police then confirmed to me. I was doing the investigation, I was doing the forensic of this matter. We were thinking about 40 to 45 lakhs I think, we were able to recover back, but 50 odd lakhs went down the drain. Till today, we were not able to get it. The reason being simple, we know the digital footprints, where the money has gone, but the jurisdiction of that country and our country, because of no treaty in place, we are not able to do anything. I believe in this era of this coronavirus, this pandemic era, you also may get such type of mails as if it is coming from your vendor. And therefore, under this scenario, you have to be extremely, extremely cautious. I won't be in a position to tell you how to identify between a spoofed mail and a genuine mail at this moment, because it's a part of the cyber forensics. It requires a little investigation, tools and techniques to be done. But in a very simplistic way, if I have to address to you, if there is any money transactions, you have to go to your traditional method, call up that person, confirm before you make that payment into that account. Otherwise, it may happen that your hard-earned money may go into the custody of an unauthorized person, and getting it back becomes a difficult option. During this coronavirus era, I had received about 19 email fraud cases. And one of the email fraud cases, what I received was a 65 lakh rupees fraud, which happened in a fairly big company, which deals with pipes. 65 lakh rupees gone, but we are fortunate to get all the 65 lakh rupees back, because the money in which account it was transferred, the owner of that company, who was very agile, He immediately got in touch with the police, got in touch with me, and in whichever account that money was transferred, we requested the bank to freeze the account and the money was returned back. But let me tell you, this happens 1 in 100 cases. And let's not play with that type of a thing. So when you have such type of emails coming that my audit is going on, please make the payment in so and so account, please don't do it unless and until you confirm it, talk to that person, and then go ahead with. Well, I will be going up with some live case studies, but then few slides. Digital around the world in 2018. 2018, I am just giving the statistics to you. To most of the figures, you can add 20% to 22%, except the population, which has not much increased. Well, in Jan 2018, the overall population of the world was almost 760 crores, 7.59 billion, which I believe has gone to about 780 crores, so not much change in that. But then the internet users then, maybe about 2.5 years before, were about 400 crores. This has gone to about 490 crores. Active social media users, which are about 320 crores in Jan 2018, has now increased to almost about 370 to 380 crores. Unique mobile users, which were about 513 crores in Jan 2018, has now crossed the 610 crore mark, which means that the whole world is becoming a smaller place to go on, and the active social media users, which are almost about 300 crores, has active, that's in the mobile phone, has gone somewhere between 340 to 345 crores as on now, which means the overall scenario of the digital around the world has been increasing very exponentially. Few days, a report which I read and which I confirmed with the Ministry of IT, because all which comes in the newspapers is not a gospel truth. All what comes in WhatsApp is not the reality. 83% of the messages which comes on WhatsApp, they are fake. They don't have any origin. Just to tell you, during this coronavirus era, what we are going on with, 5 to 6 days before, I received a message, I received a chat on my mobile phone, on my WhatsApp. And this came from a very senior lady, a very senior professor from one of the most senior Maharashtra state level academy. She sent an image to me and said that having sessions on webinar, Zoom, or for that matter, any video conferencing tool is a cognizable offense. And people who have this webinar series going on, they shall be booked under section 498 of the Indian Penal Code. Well, section 498 talks about the Domestic Violence Act. How does it relate to this webinar or the series associated with it was a big question mark. But this lady happens to be a very senior professor from one of the most senior state academy in the state of Maharashtra. And this image, what she has sent to me, was nicely crafted on the image of an Aaj Tak background channel, as if to show that it has been, as if it has come on the Aaj Tak channel. 3/4 of the screen showed about the message, said that it is a cognizable offense to be booked under section 498, and the 1/4 of the screen had the photograph of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as if he is saying it. I'm sure that in our country, many of them will find, oh, this is something new thing which our Prime Minister has told, and so therefore, having this webinar series is a cognizable offense, stop using it. I did the forensic of that image. Okay, being in that field, it did not take much time for me. In the next 15-20 minutes, I was ready with my analysis, and I found that this was an image which was nicely crafted on the backdrop of an Aaj Tak screen, and then it was pasted to show that it has come on an Aaj Tak channel. I replied back immediately because I knew that if I don't reply to her immediately, she shall make this viral. The next 15 to 20 minutes before I could tell her, she already had sent this message to 10 to 12 different groups, to 10 to 12 different state high-level authorities in the state of Maharashtra. She said, already I have sent. I said, why you sent? She said, no, it's a new rule which has been passed by a prime minister. I said, prime minister cannot pass a rule. It cannot be. No, I was a little panicky. I thought that people should be aware of it, so on and so forth. What I mean to say is that such type of rumors are spreading on WhatsApp. And therefore, we should be very, very much agile, very much precisely clear how to ensure that it is an authentic or a spoofed message. There are some certain websites, boomlive.com, there is altnews.in. These are some of the websites. If you have any difficulty in finding out the truth of the message what you get on WhatsApp, please go to these websites. Put your message on these websites and check whether what you have received is genuine or whether it is spoofed. WhatsApp University is a fake university. 83% of the messages coming on WhatsApp are fake. They don't have any origin. And I've seen people fighting on the WhatsApp group in the name of religion, in the name of spreading hatredism among the communities, in finding about some long old history, don't know from where they get all this distorted history, and then they start fighting on the WhatsApp group and have their personal relationship completely ruined across. Therefore, please stop believing this WhatsApp University, and please use this WhatsApp to spread some good social messages which are used for our personal things. May not be sharing something which is political related messages, some others viewpoints, so on and so forth. You may use the WhatsApp to promote your business, but please ensure that anything what you use WhatsApp or a Facebook to promote your personal business, your information is stored in the server of the service providers, and this data is then sold to a third party, provided we never know, it can be sold to your competitor also, and then your competitor knows what you are doing, what type of a business model you have, which may have a little denting effect on the business what you do out. But the next slide is a little interesting. I would like to put about a couple of minutes for each of this, such as we know that these are the 10 different types of cybercrime what we have. But before that, a little breaking and a shocking news. When you talk about internet as a media, a wire media to commit a crime, let me tell you to all the participants over here that there is no owner of internet. And since there is no owner of internet, how come the transactions which are done on the internet can be considered as truly authentic? Internet came in our country in 1994. We have already celebrated the silver jubilee of internet in 2019 in our country. It's the 26th year of internet in our country. But let me tell you, many of us still are not aware that there is no owner of internet. We feel that internet is governed and monitored by the government. Absolutely wrong, because there is no owner of internet, and therefore the responsibility of anything which takes place on the internet is the responsibility of an individual, which is very important. Point number 2, and that's very important, and then once again a breaking news, and that is when you talk about the internet is governed by root servers. There are 13 root servers all over the world. India doesn't have its own root server. The 13 root servers which are there all over the world, 10 are United States of America, 11th it is in Sweden, 12th it is in Netherlands, and 13 it is in Japan. We still don't have a root server. And when you talk about the various websites, the various domains, what we create on the cyberspace, www.say-Dcosta.com. Let's assume that this is my website. Let's assume that there's no website with this name. Please don't make a note of it. But www.Dcosta.com. This domain is maintained or stored in a register, which is controlled by an agency which is known as ICANN, ICANN. This agency started in 1998 till 2016. It was under the purview of the US government. In 2016, it became an autonomous body. So when you create any domain, it gets stored in this register, which is maintained by ICANN. ICANN, post September 2016, even though it is an autonomous body, but still follows the jurisdiction, legal procedures of United States of America. Tomorrow, God forbid, if your domain is removed from this server, you will be not in a position to have the promotion of your business taking place online. And therefore, it is very important to have our own root server in our country. I have been asking this question to the central government ministry for the last 3 years. Well, all the time I've been promised that we have been talking to this agency called as ICANN. From 2016, our government is talking. It's 2020, mid almost of 2020. Still, we don't have a root server, which means the chances of our data going to a third nation, which is not us, is significantly higher, and it is going up to a country where jurisdiction could be a problem. Well, coming back to a very burning issue and the 10 different types of cybercrime. The first one is cyber stalking. Well, let me tell you, cyber stalking is harassment of a person done over the internet. Well, in a joking manner, please don't take it the other way around. When you are sending some certain messages, complimentary messages on WhatsApp, please be aware. Please don't send a single rose to any women or to any girl unless and until you know her better, because a single rose means that you are in love with that person. So if you want to send any flowers to a woman or to a girl, please send a bouquet of flowers which has a combination of yellow, white, red, so on and so forth. There have been some instances where women have complained, oh, I've received a red rose from this person. No, it's harassment for me. And then it becomes a big problem, and how to make the person understand about it. I had this case where a college principal in Mumbai went to the police station to lodge a complaint against the trustee of the college, saying that my trustee sends WhatsApp message to me with a rose every day, good morning, so on and so forth. For 3 months, she did not do anything. But when her trustee told that your services are not up to the mark, at that time, she took the WhatsApp message with a red rose saying that these are harassment to me, so on and so forth. What I mean to say that is cyber stalking, harassment over the internet. Women's mostly are being targeted. 72% women's are victimized as compared to 28% men. The next, cyber contraband. Well, we have to be extremely cautious. Most of you are running business. Cyber contraband means buying and selling of illegal items over the internet. The world digital, you also will be buying on the internet. You should be extremely cautious that what you buy should be from a genuine and authentic site. There are some pseudonyms, there are some code words which are used on the internet for promotion of illegal items, drugs, ammunition, so on and so forth. So whenever the internet is used for buying and selling of illegal items over the internet, this crime comes in the gamut of cyber contraband. The next is cyber trespassing. Well, in India, this is happening, but most of us, we are not aware of it. Cyber trespassing means remotely accessing the device of a person and then finding out what that person is doing, maybe on his mobile phone, on his desktop, laptop, so on and so forth. Well, I'd like to share with you one of the case. I had been to Goa in 2015, month of January. I had a conference where some senior judges, some police officials, some reporters from all over India had come for a conference on the cyber law and digital evidence. It was a 3-day conference. I also was one of the resource. My session was on the first day. And on that same day, there was a session by another speaker who was a well-known person in the media field. And so the first day got over. We became good friends. I come from a field which is security. He comes from a media background. And so in the evening, later part of the evening, we both were strolling on the side of a beach in Goa, the Kalangut beach. Maybe around 5:30, 5:45 in the evening, and his phone started to ring. When his phone started to ring, he almost ran about 400 to 500 meters. He picked up his call, and another 7 to 8 minutes, he came to me where I was strolling on the side of this Kalangut beach. He came to me and he said, sorry. I said, it's okay, not a problem. He said, you may be wondering why I was running. Well, at the back of the mind, it was there, but how could I ask? I kept quiet. He only said, my wife called me up I said, if your wife called you up, then why you had to run? Maybe something they had to talk. He said, no, I ran because I told my wife before coming to the conference that I'm going to Ahmedabad for the conference. But in turn, I came to Goa for the conference. If I tell my wife that I'm coming to Goa for the conference, she would ask me 101 questions. My conference will be done at home itself. And so I told my wife that I'm going to Ahmedabad for the conference, but I came to Goa. I asked a question out of the academic interest. How would your wife know? He said, look, my wife is Sherlock Holmes version 6.0. I'm using the statement what he has said. And he said that when we are strolling on the side of the beach, a slight sound of the wave will trigger my wife's brain 500 kilometers away, and she will come to know that I'm somewhere on the side of a beach. And after going home, she will ask me 101 questions. So that's why I ran that many meters, just to ensure that she will not get the sound of the wave. This is reality. I'm not joking. I'm talking as much the truth in that without adding a single word here and there. I had a laugh. He also had a laugh. A conference got over. I came back to Pune, the place from where I am. He went back to Mumbai. The very next day, he called me up in the morning and he said, Harold, breaking news. I said, what happened? My wife came to know that I was in Goa. I said, look, you are such a big person. You are a big media person. While you are making a presentation, someone might have clicked your photo, made it viral, might have reached your wife's mobile device. He said, no. I said, the other option which comes in my mind is that the boarding pass, which may be there in your trouser or in your shirt pocket, your wife might have got access to that boarding pass. And from there, she came to know that you are in Goa. He said, never. Because for the last 10 years or so, whenever I come out of the airport, before I come out of it, I tear my boarding pass into 3 to 4 pieces, throw in the dustbin inside the airport, and then I come out. Then I thought his wife is really Sherlock Holmes version 6.0. And then he told me, look, for the last 3.5 months before, my wife gifted me a mobile phone. In the last 18 years, this is the one thing she has gifted me. And while gifting me, she told me, if you love me, you will start using this mobile phone, not knowing that in that mobile phone, there was an app which was installed. And that app would give all the digital footprints about this great media man, where he was, which location he is, with whom he is chatting, what he is chatting, so on and so forth. I'm sure all the men who are there at this part may be into a dilemma now. And please check whether the mobile what you have got is a gifted one or whether it is bought by you. Please remember, never take a mobile phone which is gifted, because that mobile phone could be installed with a malware or with a spyware or with an app which may give your complete privacy into the hands of that other person who could see you in real time, who could listen to your chat, listen to your messages, so on and so forth. And he said to me, I asked him, in the last 3.5 months when you're using this mobile phone, does that mean that this is the first time you told your wife that you're going to X place and you went to a Y place? He said, no, this is the 3rd occasion. I said, why she kept quiet for the first 2 occasions? He said, probably the first 3 months were my probation period, so she kept quiet. But since my probation period got over and still I'm following those norms, so this time she caught me and said that, look, now all your digital footprints are there with me. All the last 3.5 months, she took the digital footprints, asked him the question, and to every single question what his wife asked, he said, my answer was yes, yes, and yes. Why I'm telling you, why I'm quoting this example is that it may happen that somebody may gift a mobile phone to us, and our mobile phone could be an instrument which could give the information to our competitors, to other associates, or maybe to an unauthorized person who may use this information for a wrongful gain, so on and so forth. Before I go ahead, let me tell you, because I know that the men in our group at this moment may feel how we should be protected. And I'm also saying that the women in our group may be feeling, which is this app which is used to do this? Well, my concern is most on the protection point of view. And on the protection point of view, let me tell you, you buy a mobile phone which is costing anywhere between 10,000 to 1 lakh rupees. Well, that mobile phone is not secured unless and until you have a proper paid antivirus installed in your system. I'll give the name of 3 antivirus Well, any one you should install. It's up to you. Any one. Please don't install all the three. If you install all the three, your mobile will get crashed. Your laptop will get crashed. You will say that all this program or this webinar which have been arranged was not for a good purpose, because I lost my mobile phone, which was costing some 40,000-50,000 rupees of no use. So anyone, one official from Mantralaya did it. He somehow installed all the three. The net result was that his mobile crashed. And he gave me a call and he said, my mobile crashed. I said, what happened? He said, I installed all the three. I said, why? You said one. I thought that by installing all the three, my mobile will become triple secure. But the net result was that my mobile crashed. And therefore, my suggestion to you is that any one you could install in your mobile phone. And those three antivirus which I'm naming to you, the first one which comes to my mind randomly at this moment is Kaspersky, Kaspersky, or Norton, Norton, or McAfee, Macaffe. If you install any of this paid antivirus in your mobile, I can ensure you that 99% of the threats which happen through the mobile phone could be minimized. The remaining 1% is in our hands. Ensure that we don't give the mobile phone to any unauthorized person, because if we give the mobile phone to an unauthorized person, chances are there that the person may commit a crime using that device. Well, that was an interesting case study. And let me tell you, that very famous media person today, he no more uses a smartphone. He has started using feature phone. He uses that Nokia 3300-2100. I think the time has come for all of us also that buy as many feature phones as you can, because I think in the coming days, we may have to use these feature phones, because smartphones are becoming very risky. And this smartphone is not smart for us. It is smart for the hackers, for the criminals to get our information, unless and until we make this cyberspace as a cyber hygiene space. The next one, cyber laundering, money laundering. Well, a lot of instances are taking place. Bitcoin is one of those wire media where the money are being transacted in an illegal manner. Although the Bitcoin is upheld by the Supreme Court now. Bitcoin, doing transactions on a Bitcoin was illegal, but recently in a judgment passed by the Honorable Supreme Court, it said that Bitcoin can be used as a legal tender. We still are awaiting for the final points to come across. But any transaction through Bitcoin would involve a lot of troubles. And there have been a lot of cyber laundering, hawala, paisa transfers, so on and so forth. So anything when you do a digital transaction on the internet, please be cautious that you are transacting with an agency which is authentic. Today, in the name of the PM Care Fund, there are many, many apps which have been floated on the Google Play Store. And these apps, a person when he installs, thinking that the donation is going to the PM Care Fund, actually it is not going up over there. It is going in some fictitious accounts where this money could then be used to commit crimes, so on and so forth. The next one is cyber vandalism. Well, you all are running a business, maybe small or maybe big. But the moment you have any computer which is used for any type of a business related work, you should ensure that your machine is being properly audited. And it's a very, no matter you use one machine or you use 1,000 machines to do your business transactions. When you talk about vandalism, it means hacking into a computer. It means hacking into a network. And I saw that there are some teachers, there are some professors also as participants in our group. Let me spell out to them also that there are a lot of ethical hacking courses which are floating in the market. Please tell your students not to enroll for such type of a program, because in the name of ethical hacking, many of them are told how to commit hacking. They are not told about, more of them, they are not told about the legal side of the story. They are not told much about the prevention, but they have been told how to commit a crime. But all said and done, if you're running an organization, if you're running a business, whether it is a small or a big, there are some certain procedures which you have to do. Point number one, you should have your machines to be properly audited. Number two, you should have a cyber compliance in place. Number three, you should have information security guidelines in your place at any given time. And number four, when you have a website which you have made for your organization to be known to others, make a strong disclaimer policy such as it will not put you into any trouble going ahead. These are some of the norms. I will be focusing slightly more as I go ahead in my presentation. The next one is cyber deformation. Well, WhatsApp, the first thing which comes into my mind, the WhatsApp fake university, lot of defamatory contents are being broadcasted, so on and so forth. In fact, I had one case where one of the person from one religion, he put one audio in the group what I am into. I have almost about 400 odd groups, and most of my cases, they come from the group itself, because I know the cultural habits, what is going on as per usage of groups, so on and so forth. So in one of the groups, there was an audio which was been floated, which said that it was Mr. Mittal, who is a steel baron. And there was a speech audio of his where he talks about some religions as these religions are the backbone of our economic collapse. These religions are the one which made India go back, so on and so forth. And so when it was being floated, I heard that audio, I'm sorry, and it was not Mr. Mittal. I immediately put in that group saying that if you put any type of an audio which promotes any type of a hatredism between communities and religion, under the Indian Penal Code, you could be prosecuted. Promptly, the answer came to me from that person saying that, no, this is what Mr. Mittal is saying. I said, how did you find out the authenticity that this is Mr. Mittal? In fact, it was not Mr. Mittal. It was just the name of Mr. Mittal, but somebody else was talking in his name, and the hatredism, community disturbance was being floated out. I believe that through this forum, let me also tell you that when you get such type of an audio, either ignore it, or if you know the authenticity, well, I have already told you a couple of website names. You can go through it, check it, and make the person aware before the matter gets to be escalated into some serious crime. The next is cyber theft. Well, very important for the industry, whether small or big. Data theft, data loss. And when we talk about cyber theft, your data is very critical for the organization. I have seen handling many cases of data theft, from a small to the major data theft related to the gas subsidy, so on and so forth. I've seen that most of the cases, it is the internal employee who goes with the data, gives it to the organization where he works, and makes money out of it. Therefore, we should be extremely cautious that the data what we have should be properly secured. They should have proper permissions, properly password protected, such as it won't get into the third party. Very important for the small businesses is that you should also have an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement to be signed with your employee before your employee starts working on your data, because that data has got an immense intrinsic value for your organization going ahead. The next, cyber terrorism. Well, misuse of technology to do any terrorism activities. Well, I don't have to say much because our topic is not related to that. The next one is cyber pornography. Almost 61 to 62% of the cybercrime today which takes place deals with pornography. Any particular pornography which deals with disseminating any images, videos, or text which is harming the reputation of any person, women's, is accounted to be a pornographic crime. We have got some certain sections in a cyber law, in a IT Act 2000, Section 67A and Section 67B of the Information Technology Act 2000. Where Section 67A talks about adult pornography. Let me tell you, watching pornography in your own private place is not an offense. But the moment the pornography is being watched in a public place, it is an offense, and it shall be booked under Section 67A of the Information Technology Act 2000, where it is a cognizable and non-bailable offense. Section 67B talks about child pornography. Just a mere possession of pornographic image of a child in a mobile phone, in a desktop or a laptop, even though it is not transmitted, amounts to an offense. And therefore, it's very important that any mobile phone, any digital device for that matter, should not have any pornographic clip, images, videos of a child into a sexual act which may amount to a cognizable and a non-bailable offense. And the last in the list is cyber fraud. Well, everything is fraud, what I said, but this cyber fraud I'm trying to put out in terms of the financial frauds. When I talk about the financial frauds, one thing which comes to my mind at this moment is the debit cards. And let me tell you, now more or less we are having the debit cards with a chip. And there was a RBI rules guidelines which said that if there are debit card without the chip, that debit card has to be taken back by the bank from the account holder, and it has to be resubstituted with a debit card with a chip enabled onto it. But let me tell you, today debit cards mostly are international debit card, and international debit cards are very dangerous to use. The reason is very simple. If I have an international debit card, and assuming that I go to a petrol pump, I give my card to the person who fills the petrol pump. There are 4 things on that debit card which has a lot of value. The first information on the debit card is the debit card number. The second is the name of the person. The third is the expiry date. And the fourth is the CVV number. The CVV number is a 3-digit number which is written on the back, or which is there on the back side or the back panel of your debit card. All these 4 informations are displayed on your debit cards. If the person who fills the petrol in your vehicle knows this 4 informations, which is not a rocket science for him to know, he can just part this information to a XYZ person in a different country. Today WhatsApp is there for it. And that person sitting remotely, you are sleeping at night, and at night, these 4 informations of your debit card known to a hacker outside India, he can go to any online shopping portal which is registered outside India, and he can commit a transaction. And while the payment option comes, at that time, he will give the details of your card. Remember, no OTP or no PIN number is required in most of the international registered websites for online shopping. And therefore, under this scenario, when morning you get up, you may see a SMS on your mobile phone that so-and-so money has been debited on so-and-so shopping portal where you have remotely not gone to that place. And moreover, the transaction has taken place somewhere from Nigeria, Korea, Japan, China. You may think that I was sleeping at my house. How come in my dreams also I've gone to this place? Let me tell you, the moment you have an international debit card, there is one shortcoming. And the shortcoming is that these particular cards, when you use for any on the online shopping portal outside India's jurisdiction, at that time, no OTP or no PIN number is required. Therefore, how to be protected? In order to be protected, you should do the following. The moment you get a debit card from the bank, you should go to the bank site, and there are options in that particular bank site where you can make your card to be used only within India and not outside India. If you go outside India, you can log on to your banking site through your password and change that option that now you want this card to be used internationally. But within India, you can go to the bank site and make that options, make the changes in your particular, in your panel. And therefore, what will happen, even though these information are been there with a hacker, even if he tries to commit a transaction, he won't be able to do, because your card is used within India. India probably is the only one country in the world that either without a PIN or a OTP, the transactions cannot be done successfully. Therefore, you could be saved. And let me also tell you that many of the debit card frauds, when they are taking place, people say my card was skimmed. Somebody made a cloned card. No clone card was made. Only the information of that card went to an unauthorized person who then committed the transaction, so on and so forth. I believe I've given you a little outway into this 10 different types of cyber crimes. Countries having the worst And the best cybersecurity practices, well, the highest scoring countries per category, highest percentage of mobile malware infection, Bangladesh, 36%. Highest number of financial malware attacks, Germany, 3% of the users. Highest percentage of computer malware infections, Algeria, 32.41%. Highest percentage of telnet attacks, remote access, China, 21.15%. Highest percentage of attacks by crypto miners, where Bitcoin is one of them, is Uzbekistan. Almost about 14.2% of the users are being victimized. Least prepared for cyber attacks is Vietnam, has a score of 0.245. And Vietnam is one of those countries which is now becoming economically independent. Most of the Chinese companies are now trying to relocate in Vietnam, but Vietnam has its own cup of problems because it's the least prepared for any type of this cyber attack. And the worst up-to-date legislation for cybersecurity is Algeria. I mean, the law in Algeria is not made to help the victim because it has got its own set of problems. It goes in the favor of the accused. It goes in the favor of the hackers rather than going in the favor of the victim. Countries having the worst and best cybersecurity practices, well, these are the best cybersecurity practices in the country. Which are those countries? Lowest percentage of mobile malware infections, Japan. Only 1.34% of the users are being attacked through a spyware malware infection. Lowest number of financial malware attacks is Ukraine. Germany is 3%. Ukraine is only 0.3%. Lowest percent of computer malware infection is Denmark. Only about 6% of the computers are being infected. Rest 94% of the computers are found to be clean, clear, not attacked. Lowest percentage of telnet attacks, where China is one of those countries where the largest amount of unauthorized access is done on Chinese machine. But in the lowest percentage, we have got Algeria, Uzbekistan, and happy that we have got a neighboring country, which is Sri Lanka, which has the lowest percentage of telnet attacks, and these are having the best practices. Lowest percentage of attacks by crypto miners is Denmark. 0.61% of the users only are being affected through this cryptocurrency type of frauds. Best prepared for cyber attacks is Singapore. 0.925, that's the score, is the best prepared for the cyber attack. One of the best place if the digital business has to take on with. Most up-to-date legislation for cybersecurity. These are the countries which has the best cyber laws in place. France, China, Russia, and Germany. Well, we also have our own cyber law in place. But let me tell you, our cyber law was last amended in 2008. We are in 2020. It's almost 12 years that the law has not been amended. And therefore, the technology has increased, but the law has not been amended. And therefore, many people could be victimized because of this lacuna in these cyber laws. Well, the business email compromise, I have shared with you. I told you spoofed mails. This is one of them. A mail comes as if it is come from a CEO of the company, says that please transfer so and so money, but actually it has never originated from his email ID. I handled about a lot of cases. One case I told you about Vasai, but like this, I've handled at least about 500, more than 500 cases dealing only with the business fraud related with email as a substantial information as a fraud. Number of the new malware specimen, well, that's why I say please ensure that your mobile phone, your desktop, your laptops are properly secured by putting up-to-date proper antivirus in place. In 2007, we had only 0.13 million of the malware. I would say we had only 0.13 virus. And this has gone in 2017 to up to 7.41 millions. Just see the magnitude of the malwares which has been increased. And this is exponential increase. By the end of 2019, it has crossed 10 million, which means the threats have increased. People are not becoming conscious to the fact that your digital device has to be properly protected with a good antivirus and firewall in place. Well, the recent trends, I'll be going slightly fast now because I know that you may be having a lot of questions in your mind and I want to answer as many as I can. Well, now we have got the biometric hacking. Well, we have, our fingerprints. I'm sure that in your own organization, You may have a biometric for your employees' attendance, so on and so forth. Let me tell you, next time when you buy a biometric, you should always buy a biometric which is not an image-based biometric. It should be biosensor biometric. And when you have got an image-based biometric, let me tell you, your fingerprints, they can be cloned. And therefore, a fake attendance can be shown in the organization when that actual person did not come. Well, I had a very interesting story. You know, you have a college in Mumbai, UDCT, which is also called as ICT now, the University Department of Chemical Technology. It's in Matunga. And there was a case which happened up, I think about 2 to 3 years before. And the case was like this, that the students' attendance in the class was found, all 60 students are there in the class at any given time. That's the attendance showed. But in reality, not more than 35 students used to be there in the class. And UDCT also had, you know, the attendance system in place, the biometric. And so the Vice Chancellor of UDCT, whom I had the distinction to train him also in 2008. And once again, in 2019, I was in UDCT as a resource person to train after 11 years, once again, their senior faculties and all. And so when this case happened, this Vice Chancellor, a very learned person, he said that at any given time, I feel there are 35 students. How does this show? Electronic record show that there are 60 in the class? Well, he said to his dean, please find out the truth into it. The truth was like this, that the students among themselves, they used to compromise. 30 of them, for example, they used to attend the class and they used to go with a Fevicol imprint. They used to just apply the Fevicol, and after the Fevicol has been put up, they should take the peel it, and that particular peeler would give to that student who would be attending the session on that day. So what he would do is that he will go in near the biometric, put his thumb, his attendance is done. Then he would take the peel of his other classmate and he would apply that peel on that thumb and give his attendance also. And let me tell you, the device which was used to take this attendance was an image-based biometric. So biometric hacking is there, it is done, and therefore when you have any type of a biometric impressions to be taken, please ensure you take a biosensor biometric device and not an image-based biometric device. Attacks through theft of biometric data. Well, as more biometric systems for user identification authentication are being implemented by various financial institutions, well, these are the financial institutions in the Middle East, Turkey and Africa. 2019 will see criminals exposing vulnerabilities in passcode, touch ID sensors, and facial ID recognition. Let me tell you, when you are there in any of the series, when you are talking electronically, digitally with your peers, with your friends, with your relatives through video conferencing, there have been some element of a doubt that the apps are capturing the facial of that person and storing it into the system. And this particular facial recognition then could be used to commit some attack or to commit some unauthorized access. Therefore, I think we should be very, very cautious that when we are there using any video conferencing tool, let us use a paid tool, because when you use a paid tool, the dependency or the burden, if such type of a fraud takes place, is on that service provider and not on the individual. Anything which is free of cost, conditions apply. We have to please keep that in mind, and especially on the internet mode. Fake videos, I have already discussed this with you. Well, WhatsApp University, what I have to tell you more, 83% of the messages, audios, videos, whatever you say, the digital gala is all fake on this space. Mobile in the app malware, I was talking to you about the cyber trespassing, how this media person got to be stumped by his wife when he never knew that his mobile phone had a malware or a spyware installed where his particular digital footprint will go to a third person outside. The ransomware evolution, well, in the last 50 days approximately of this lockdown, I have a lot of cases related to ransomware. A senior official from a revenue department, central government of India, called me up at night at 10:30 to tell me that she has received an email from an unknown person saying that what she has been browsing on her laptop, the whole history is with him. And if she doesn't make a payment of 2,000 US dollars through Bitcoin, he shall take this information, put in the public domain, where it can create a big problem for her in a personal life as well as in the professional life. What I mean is, this is a ransomware which is going on. Gone were the days when the extortions used to take place on the phones or maybe face to face. Today the time has come where the ransom is being done with the misuse of technology. I was handling a fairly big corporate, about 11,000 crore rupees, a corporate I was handling, where they received an email one day that all the critical data of your organization is with me. If you don't pay Indian money, it was almost about 91 lakh rupees. If you don't pay this much amount of money, I will have all your data to be uploaded on a public server, and your particular critical data will be used by your competitors, so on and so forth. The problem when I was going with that ransomware investigation was that people don't update their computers from time to time. People don't update their antivirus from time to time. People don't have information security practices in their organization. People don't have cyber policy guidelines in that part, and they were almost ready to pay this money because they wanted this data back. So when this matter was referred to me by a senior police official, I said that if you pay this money, what is the guarantee that tomorrow he will say that pay so and so more money, and therefore you will be in his hands and the whole organization would be there in his custody. We were able to get that matter resolved, but then it took a lot of time for us to identify who was that person, so on and so forth. Just a matter of clue, what I would like to give, that if at all you are using Microsoft 7 Windows operating system, please change that Microsoft 7 Windows operating system to a later one, because Microsoft 7 Windows 7 operating system has got a shortcomings, and the shortcoming is that the malware or the spyware enters into the network, takes a critical data, gives it to a third person, and that third person then starts demanding money from that organization or from that industry. Well, now you'll find cyber risk insurance. Well, no matter you're running a small organization or a big organization, you have to do a cyber risk insurance very, very shortly. There are some certain banks, financial institutions which have come, and these particular cyber risk insurance will cover up the loss of reputation and trust with their customers, loss of future revenue from negative media or other exposure, and improvement cost for security infrastructure or system updates. I had a big financial institution walking to me about 4 to 5 months before saying that we are an insurance company. We did not pay some 400 crore rupees worth, a damage loss to a XYZ person. In turn, he went on Facebook and he uploaded all filthy information about us, and our particular image is going to have a big dent. The person says that we have not paid him about 400 crore rupees for the insurance what he has made. There was a fire or something which took place where they were supposed to pay. They say that you had that fire made by yourself intentionally. He says no, it is not. And because of this fight, the name of this one of the biggest financial institution, it was tarnished on Facebook. I said that we will investigate this matter, but I think today you should have your cyber risk insurance in place, because in the days to come, people will try to spoil your image. People will spoil the industry image. People will spoil your business image, and cyber risk insurance will help you out in these issues where you can have money, insured money to get from these financial institutions, so on and so forth. Although there is a big quantum of money as a policy you may have to pay to these particular financial institutions so that they can safeguard your loss of reputation, your data loss, your negative media publication, so on and so forth. Well, any desk app, I'm just coming to the end of my presentation now. This was the app which was used by hackers. Calls used to come to many of the account holders from various banks saying that your card will be blocked if you don't give us so and so information. Many people, see, senior citizens and all, they don't know. So they used to say, what should I do? So a link used to be sent, and when the person used to click on that link, this app used to get installed remotely, and the whole control of this mobile phone would then go to a hacker who then would commit fraudulent transactions. Let me tell you, any desk app is now told by the RBI that it is an app which is used to get unauthorized access of the device and commit some fraudulent transactions. Please don't upload any of the app from Play Store or, to that matter, from all unauthorized websites. The chances are there that this app will take the custody of your mobile phone and have transactions to be done remotely without your knowledge. There has been a lot of debate going on the Arogya Setu app, and many of them are coming out saying whether we should install it or not. The government has made more or less a mandatory. I get a lot of questions on this app where I only say in few words, life is important or your privacy is important, because this app is enabling your Bluetooth and your location, and it is storing. So people feel that we are under surveillance. Well, if your life is more important, then you will take surveillance as secondary. But if your privacy is important and your life is secondary, then you may not install it. Well, it's a debatable issue. But the most important fact, where I go with some of the security stalwarts who say that we don't have the data privacy bill in place or the data protection bill in place. Because of this, what is the guarantee that tomorrow our data shall not be misused? Well, there is a point, because India still doesn't have the data privacy bill or the data security data protection bill in place. Until the time this bill is not in place, people will have questions on such type of apps, whether it is used by the government for a good purpose or whether it is for some wrong wishful intention. All said and done, well, government has got an immunity, and that is as an intermediary of storing the data. Tomorrow, if any misuse is done, they will not be taken to any type of a task. But there's an immunity in the Information Technology Act 2000. Well, it's a very debatable topic, but at the same time, I think for us, the life is important. So go ahead, but use this app very cautiously, selectively, and ensure that this app is for our betterment. That is the Arogya Setu app. Well, that's the presentation what I have, and I've tried to finish up the presentation in say 1 or 10 minutes. I extended by 10 minutes, I'm sorry, but then since I had a lot of things to tell you, but before I take your questions, give me just 5 minutes, and that 5 minutes are very crucial for me because you handle business, some of them are from the field of teaching, so on and so forth. Just summarize point of view. For all those who are into a business, big or small, doesn't make any particular part, doesn't make any difference. Please ensure that your organization, whether you are there in a hospitality sector, whether you are there in any vertical which is in the banking sector, whether you are there in the real estate sector, or to that matter, you are in the education sector. Most important is that you should have the cyber policy to be implemented in your organization immediately. Number 2, each and every machine in your organization has to be properly audited and checked whether any third-party access can be done on your system. And most important, get an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement signed from each and every employee of your organization that tomorrow, any misuse of the information, the data of your organization, they shall be held responsible under so and so act. For those who are there in the education sector, well, a couple of things I want to add, and that is the educational institutions should now have cybersecurity as a compulsory subject, because we are all going digital now. Should be a compulsory subject, and believe me, I have the acquaintance with a lot of vice chancellors from the various universities in the country. We have some cybersecurity program. Everything is theoretical. Let's have a practical based programs to ensure that such type of the programs will make a good citizen coming out, and our systems won't be compromised, data won't be hacked, and if the data is hacked, systems are compromised, our jurisdiction is not allowing, simply because the person who was hacked into our system in India is sitting somewhere in US. He is using a software which is developed in Germany. He is using a technology which is of Nigeria. And then he is hacking a system of India. Which all jurisdictions shall come in the place is a big question mark. Whether all of these 4 nations will come or one nation will come, it's still a dilemma even to the law enforcement and to the judicial system of the country. Therefore, keep your systems protected with a good antivirus, firewall, information security guideline, and please keep in mind, update it from time to time. I believe that's about what I wanted to talk to you. You have any questions? You're most welcome to ask me any questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your valuable guidance.
Thank you.
And to our members in this challenging time, we really appreciate your time for us, and we are really proud and honored to have you with us. We are running out of time, so I would request one or two questions by the members. We have Sir Harold Dcosta's email ID and phone number and contact. If with his permission, if there are any other questions, we will see that you can connect to him with his permission. So there is nothing to worry that if your questions will not be answered, if not now, they will be answered soon. Any 2 questions, Nilesh sir? Do we have any questions on the board?
Yeah,
right
yes,
now?
yes. We have 2 questions on the chat, so I will just say them. So maybe the first question is, yeah, Bestie, go ahead, please.
Yes, the first question which Rakesh Raval asked is, can we get the presentation? That was the first question.
Okay.
So many people want this presentation, so if you consent to it, you can share it with them. Your email ID, so that so if you can have your email ID.
I have, I think, Nilesh's email.
Yeah, right, sir.
Yeah, I will send it. I'll send it.
Sure.
If you can put it on the chat box, then so whoever wants to contact you personally can contact you and get it. The second question is, do iPhones and iPads need a antivirus?
Well, whether we use an iPhone, iPad, or to that matter, even if you are using the technology what Mr. Donald Trump uses it, for each of this, we require antivirus. And what I named those 3 of those antivirus, they are applicable whether it is a Android or whether it is on iOS. Even for iPhone, iPad, we require an antivirus to be there.
Yes. So the next question is whether implementing ISO 27000, no, 1 and 2013 Information Security Management System will take care of cyber crimes.
Yes. It is mandatory. In fact, we have a separate guideline, that is Information Technology Act 2011, Intermediary Rules and Regulations, which has made mandatory for every industry today, big or small, to have the ISO 27001 to be implemented judiciously as well as mandatorily. And if it's not been implemented, God forbid, tomorrow, if your organization is been accused of doing it, that some data has been gone, from your organization, or some crime has taken place from your organization, the organization shall be booked under Section 43, under Section 66, under Section 43A of the Information Technology Act 2000, where up to 1 crore rupees is the compensation to the victim so-called affected. Just a short example, I'd like to tell you, I had this case in the outskirts of Pune, where a guy, a 25-year-old guy, he had made a fictitious profile of a girl, about 23-year-old girl from Nasik. There were some marriage proposals which used to come to this girl, and those marriage proposals never used to get materialized, simply because when the boy's family used to go on the Facebook, they used to see all the tarnished image of this girl on Facebook. So when this case was registered in Nasik, in one of the police stations in Nasik, the investigation revealed, I was also there in that investigation team. The investigation revealed that this Facebook profile has been created by misusing an organization's resource. And that organization turnover somewhere, I think in 3-4 years before, That organization turnover is about $10 billion. So it's not a small company, it's a big company. So the police reached up over there and said, your resources has been used to commit this fictitious profile and we shall book you under so and so particular section. Let me tell you, organization resource, if it has been misused, it is the organization which shall be held responsible. The best practice what that organization should have done is an NDA, cyber compliance, information security guidelines, and an audit. It failed to adhere to the provisions given in IT Act 2011, intermediary rules and regulations, and therefore they were booked because their resources were misused. Employee misused it, but you allowed your resources to do it, so the organization also became co-accused in that. ISO 27000 must.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Nilesh, Bestie, do we have any other questions?
No, I think we can.
No, sir. That's all the questions we had. Yeah.
Thank you, Bestie. Thank you so much. I request Nilesh sir to go on with BCBA announcements and thanks.
Thank you, Arman sir. So, Dr. Harold Dcosta sir, on behalf of everyone here today, thank you for taking the time to speak to us. In fact, your insights into cybercrime and how it is impacting the lives of so many people was both fascinating and disturbing too. But we particularly like hearing about some precautionary measures and simple steps which can be put into practice to avoid troubling times ahead. Once again, on behalf of BCBA, thank you very much. We also would like to thank you all the participants, BCBA members, all professors, teachers, all business owners, students, and others who could join in today for this educative webinar. And a special mention to our Emerald Sequera sir as well. Now, as we hear the news of extension in lockdown in few cities in Maharashtra, including Vasai, Mumbai, Pune, BCBA wishes and prays for everyone's safety, of course, physical safety as well as online safety as well. So thank you once again and enjoy the long evening with family on this International Family Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nilesh. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Sir, please can we have your email ID here? Is it possible?
My email ID is, I'll give my personal email ID.
Yes.
I'll just type it up. Okay, hld@rediffmail.com.
HLE.
HLD.
HLD.
Yeah, I'm just typing hld@rediffmail.com.
So it is here. I have posted it.
Yeah, we have the whole session on record. So in future we will be posting this for the other members of BCBA on the BCBA group and any other members. Sir, we will also keep you posted with the same video before we post it on the YouTube.
Right.
Sure. Yes. Thank you very much. Be safe.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you all the participants and have a nice evening. Have a nice day.
So there are a lot of positive comments on the group on the chat. If you want to go through them, members have appreciated and it was a very insightful learning to them.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I am seeing some of them. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I take this opportunity to the first time attendance of BCBA meetings. Those people who have missed the initial introduction of BCBA, I would like to specially welcome and thanks for those newcomers and those absolutely first timers who have joined us with this kind of webinars. We have more sessions and more announcements coming, educational sessions as we had done in the past. So keep an eye open and we keep you posted. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.